and then hear it.
The time is now 1:04. All mics are live and we are recording.
Thank you. Do you do this? Hey, Victor.
Hey, Rebby, how are you?
Good. We're just gonna start the meeting now, since you're on, and then if you just want to mute your mic, so that way.
I'm just going to mute our mic, and I'll wait for you guys to do a turn.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the public hearing regarding the Adirondack proposed redevelopment project. So we will get started. My name is Ravi Doshi. I'm the TIFF administrator for the City of Springfield, and would like to introduce our consultant from PJV, who will be joining us and walking through the plan itself. So this is Adam Stroud, sitting directly to my right. And also joining via phone, we have the development team, Victor Salerno and Enzo, who will be joining from the Adirondack team to go over any questions if the public wishes to ask those or comments. So without further ado, we will move forward to going through the plan. So Adam Stroud will go through the highlights of the plan, which is also on the screens in front of you.
Okay. Abby, how's this? Can you hear me? Great, thank you. All right, Adam Stroud. I work for a planning and architecture firm out of St. Louis called PJV Planners. We do these TIFF studies all across Illinois and across the Midwest, and it's basically our job to make sure that an area qualifies under the Illinois statute, which has very specific guidelines for what can be constituted a blighted area or a conservation area. Doesn't mean that your city's not nice, it just has a very specific definition for what may go into a TIF area. Doug, can you give me page 2 on the screen, please? So this is a little bit different type of TIF than Springfield is used to. This one's a much smaller targeted TIF, and these parcels are currently in the central area TIF, so they'll have to be removed from that TIF and then placed into this proposed TIF to start this new project. The main project is an apartment building made up of market rate apartments, and they found that there was a financial gap in their project, and so they came to the city to look for financing solutions, and TIF is one of the main tools in the state of Illinois that cities get to use for these types of projects. You can go to page 10, please. Pages 10 and 11 contain the factors that were used to qualify this area for the use of TIF. Factors that you can use in Illinois include things such as site deterioration, environmental contamination, dilapidated buildings, flooding, inadequate utilities. There's a whole list that's in the front of this plan, and I won't go through them all. But we used 4. We also included a few buildings that are to the north of this main site that are not included in the area, in the apartment project, but may be an opportunity in the future for future development, hopefully. And this is the old Ace Signco structures. The first factor I'd like to talk about is dilapidation. we found that in dilapidation, the difference between dilapidation and deterioration, even though we might use the words interchangeably, dilapidation refers more to stuff that has to be replaced. It has to be repaired because it's really fallen into that state, that sad state of affairs. Deterioration is a little more minor, but nonetheless something that would require repair, just maybe not reconstruction. Excessive vacancies. We found that three out of three structures in the area, these are the ACE-SIGNCO structures, are vacant. This represents excessive vacancies according to the Illinois statute, and thus may have an adverse effect, and probably already has had an adverse effect on the surrounding properties. And the fourth factor we used is declining or subpar EAV growth. EAV just stands for Equalized Assessed Valuation, basically property values according to the county assessor. And we found that this area performed at a rate lower than the rest of the city for 3 out of the last 5 years, and that is the threshold that must be met in order to use that factor. Let's go to page 14, please. $14 is what we would consider the budget. This is the TIF budget. So if the apartment building is built, if there's some additional construction on those other lots, and if the ACE-SIGNCO building is either renovated or perhaps demolished and something new is built on top of it, we think that over the life of the TIF, around $17 million could be generated to be then put back into this particular area to fund those redevelopments. So for example, the apartment building, the developer has requested an incentive, and so that incentive would be part of this budget. It's money that is generated by the project and then granted back to the developer to make the deal work. These budgets can be expanded. If they're expanded beyond inflation, the city has to come back and talk to the Joint Review Board and have another public hearing, just like this one. The Joint Review Board is made up of all of the taxing bodies that overlap this property. If there are no changes to the budget, they can continue on as planned, and as long as they don't go above that budget, no additional actions need to be taken. In terms of the life of the TIF, in Illinois, TIF districts last 23 years at a minimum. There have been many TIFs that have been expanded or extended beyond 23 years into 35 and even 47 years. This TIF being a targeted TIF, it's really associated with 1 or 2, maybe 3 projects, and that's just about it. That's all that the city has planned for this area. So it's a little bit different than the other TIFs in the city as we know it. The targeted TIFs are becoming more popular in Illinois and in other states as well, just to take advantage or really help out those individual projects and not put giant areas into TIF areas. So after 23 years, if there's additional work that needs to be done and all the taxing bodies agree that more work needs to be done, they can extend the TIF for a further 12 years, or the TIF can even be closed down early or just closed down right on time. In terms of amending the boundaries, anytime you add additional territory to a TIF area, the city has to come back and do an additional Joint Review Board meeting and do a public hearing just like the one right now. So we'll take any or where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I think if we can just take questions, open it up to the public, and we do have the developers on the phone as well, along with Adam for technical questions, and we have the mayor in attendance as well for any general city questions. Just state your name, Steve.
Hi, Victor. It's Steve Myers. How are you? Are you there, Victor? Yeah, we can. I was looking at page 14 with the budget. Is that your budget that you had and you've approved that?
I'm not sure what you're looking at, so I apologize. Page 10?
14.
It's page 14,
Yeah,
Victor. the
top of
redevelopment
page
plan.
14, they had all the estimated redevelopment project costs. I just want to make sure everybody was on the same page and that you were good with those numbers, because I didn't know if you'd seen them. And,
I don't believe I've seen them, but the numbers that they had, we did work with the city and the consultant on putting those numbers together, so I'm assuming that
great.
we are okay.
Okay, yeah, the grand total is 17,278,000. Is that the right number?
17 million.
I'm sorry, 17,278,000.
So that number would include some of the other parking lots being
Right.
redeveloped into something taxable, as well as the ACE sign co being redeveloped. So that's why it's
All right,
a lot more.
I just want to make sure Victor was okay with the numbers as they were produced, because I know he's been here several times discussing the project with city council and others, as well as the Economic Development Commission, and I want to make sure all the numbers match up so that we're good to go moving forward. Secondly, I was looking through the report from PGAV. Where in here is the information about this property being in an opportunity zone, and how does that affect this moving forward?
So that's not something that we have to put in the plan, although it's something that the city should consider and market, as an additional incentive that's available to developers. But it is not mentioned in the plan. It's not part of the package.
Okay, and the reason I ask is obviously PGAV collects data to show that this is eligible, and that's why I asked, because the governor has designated this area as an opportunity zone. I would think that would be in there as proof positive that it's a great area for this type of project. And I don't know if that's because PGAV hasn't done a lot with opportunity zones or not, but I would say that's obviously another example of why this is a good thing, is because the governor identified that area as needing that designation for new things like apartment buildings or other things to lift the area up. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I can respond to that. We try and stick to what's in the statute alone and not do a bunch of extra stuff in the plan
Gotcha.
that doesn't, because you can talk about crime as well as a potential factor for needing redevelopment, but it's not listed in the statute as one of the factors.
Gotcha.
But I take your point.
Yeah,
It's
all
a
right.
very good point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Yes, please. You just state your name.
Name is Jim Dickey. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to make this comment, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. On the federal level and internationally, there's encouragement to go in toward electric vehicles. So is this project, it's going to have some parking associated with it? Are there any plans in there to include charging stations for electric vehicles? Because that may be an issue in the future.
Great
Yeah,
question.
thank you. Great question. I think turn it over to our developer team to maybe answer that. Victor, I don't know if you heard completely, but the question proposed by a public member, is that given the advancements in technology, will the parking lots consider, energy efficiency, namely electric vehicle charging stations for some of the residents?
Yeah, and we will have some on-site parking, and I will say that the building will be developed in an environmentally friendly manner, and we likely will have some EV charging stations in the parking.
Okay, were you able to hear that answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Vic, you want to say anything else?
No, not really. I mean, I think this is a great opportunity to redevelop the area, and incentives are critical to that. So thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, would you like to say anything on behalf of the project or the city?
We know I can't let that go by. But with regards to this project, I think everybody here has been playing a part or a role at some point in time, but it's really an important project for the city of Springfield. It's really going to change the magnitude of downtown. It's that connection between downtown and the medical district. They have 130 market rate apartments. We appreciate the developers changing the footprint and what their direction they wanted to go originally, and it's really going to lift up both areas of the medical community, downtown, and appreciate DSI and Kayla Gravens here, as well as SSGA and their partnership in moving this direction. But like I said, it's all the taxing bodies participating. I know Joe Elio's here as well, and others, and that's what it's all about, is how we all work together to really lift up this project. And Steve Myers can tell you, it's been wanted for a long period of time, and we're finally getting to that point. So we appreciate Victor and all his group for helping us get to this point.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, if there aren't any other questions, that's all PGAV has.
Yeah, I think, are there any other comments from the public? Questions? If not, we can adjourn the public hearing this time. Thank you all for contending.